Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Julia. Today is Thursday, and I'm super excited. We are almost at the end of the job readiness support space for Cherry and Tech. And as you know, and if you have been following us, we've been having tons of guest speakers. We are on week 6. And 2 days ago, we have Esther, and she told us all about the developers interview process, everything that she looks into it. And today we have Daniela. And Daniela, she is consultant at Salt, and she's going to tell us all the secrets on how to stand up in tech. So anyway, before I keep talking, let's bring Daniela in. Hey, hey, how are you? Nice to have you here.
Hi, Julia. Thank you for having me. How's it going?
I'm super excited. I feel like a lot of people is been waiting for this. So if all of the viewers, if you are watching us, I know if you came maybe from 80 Place, LinkedIn, or YouTube, make sure that you write the comments, your questions on the comments. We're going to be able to see them. I have like tons of questions for Daniela, but maybe you may have better questions than me. You may want to know something else, but let's start because people is waiting for your secrets and insights. Daniela, why don't we tell people who are you?
I am Daniela. I've been recruiting at Salt for a little bit over 2 years. But I specialize in like design and marketing contract recruitment. I do recruit others like stuff as well, but it's very like niche. We kind of have a universe here at Salt. So that's my universe. And oh, a fun fact about me is that I played tennis in university. Yeah.
Like, how good are you at tennis? How like did you had to decide to be a professional or do this?
No. I started pretty late. In the sense of like usually people who like turn pros and stuff, they start when they're like 4 or 5. I really started playing seriously until I was 13. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of training, and then university was a lot as well, just because it was, I think it was practice like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we would have tournaments Saturday and Sunday, and then like Tuesdays and Thursdays were just like you would need to do like physical work, like running or sprints. Yeah, it was a lot.
That's intense. Yeah, that's a lot. My niece, she's on their way for her to be a professional tennis player back in Colombia, and I feel like she always is playing tennis and training the
Yeah,
whole time. So I
yeah.
understand. Okay. So again, everybody, hi, welcome to today to Standard in Tech Recruiter Insights that you need. Make sure that you're tapping your questions on the comments. We are going to be able to see them. Tell us about your background and what led you into career in tech recruitment.
I like as I said, I came to Canada for university, and then I studied just like business in general. And then I graduated kind of like when COVID was kind of ending. So my last year was like completely online, and then I always kind of knew that I needed to pick like like a stream like business. It was like marketing or something like that. I wanted to do marketing at first, but then I didn't really like it because it was when it was like the switch to all like digital marketing. I was like, oh, I don't think I can do this. But then I always knew I wanted to like talk and like help people out, and someone from the internal team at Salt reached out to me, and they were starting like all like the Canadian team. So yeah, there were already I think like 4 people on the team. Um and yeah, I was brought in and I really liked it. So I am here.
Love it. Maybe let's give some background of what is Salt to some of our viewers.
A what, sorry?
Like, what is Salt?
Okay, yeah. So Salt. So we're a recruitment agency. We specialize in digital recruitment. In it's mostly like tech, but it's like like tech, data, creative, which is what I recruit for, which is like design. There's project management. Um, yeah, there's a lot of streams also like HR. But we do all like digital recruitment. It can be from agencies to like really big companies. We do both contract and permanent. Everyone, like every single consultant, has a different universe. That's what kind of like what we call it. So we're focused on like specific sectors, and then there's like a lot of ways to like growing here. So yeah, that's what we do. We're worldwide. We're in the US, we're in Canada, the UK, just like across Europe as well. And yeah. Oh, also I think our most recent office is in Brazil. So yeah, we're
Love
everywhere.
it. Yes. What is your process when recruiting for a new role, and how do you approach finding the right candidate?
So I think that really depends on the position. Definitely, like either if it's contract or permanent, and then obviously kind of like the industry you are recruiting for. If it's like a big company or if it's like a smaller like agency, the duties, if you're going to be an individual contributor, you're going to be managing people. I think that's what it depends, but obviously when we recruit, we usually ask like the hiring managers or whoever we're working with to give us as much details as we can to find what they're looking for. For me, mostly it's contract positions, so it's usually very fast paced because it can be just like from project to project, or because they need a contractor urgently because someone permanent left. But yeah, I think there's many details that we have to find out about the position before we can even find about the candidate, right? Like we actually, recruiters have to put themselves like if they were candidates. It was like, okay, if I was going for this positions, what were the questions that I would be asking? Okay, like what is the salary? Like what are the responsibilities? Am I going to be managing people? Is there, how big is your team? Like is this hybrid? Is this remote? What hours are going to be working? All of that stuff. You have to put yourself in the candidate position first. Yeah.
Oh, that hurts my heart because that's a lot of things that you need to be thinking and putting it. I mean, but that's really helpful to be in the other side and make sure that you have all the right answers
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
Um, and I know because you are in Canada, I'm in Canada, and a lot of people that I talk with, they're in Canada and they're always, maybe they could be like a newcomers. And I think because oh, look at that. We have a phone here. Do anyone have like an in-house phone? I'm at my uh, in-laws' house and they have a phone. Interesting. Okay, so how newcomers to Canada effectively showcase their skills and experience to tech recruiters like yourself?
I think definitely, I know it's different again for every single market. For us, well, at least for me, for creatives, when it comes to design, it's or yeah, like content designer, even like copywriters, when people have a portfolio where they can showcase their work, it's it's a little bit easier, right? Because they can see what you have actually done, even if it's like in another country. Um, it's very easy to showcase your skills because it's like, oh, like they made it, right? Like we know for sure it's his work. So I would say before even showcasing, like even for example, if it's like a sales role, like, oh, I managed like this amount of like money on the portfolio, or I grew all this accounts and all of that, I think you should be connecting, especially if you're a newcomer. Try to do networking as much as you can, because networking with a little bit higher up people will open you doors, and they can actually tell you, because well, obviously they're higher up and they have been in the industry for so long, what they're looking for, just because the market is always changing. Like the only thing for sure is change. So I would say networking would be the first thing before even you start standing out. Make sure to network, because that's usually what gets people with jobs, who they know.
And I mean, this is a suggestion, a tool, a skill that every single guest speaker have mentioned. And I feel like, again, this is confirming with everybody in the
Yeah.
field, like professionals, that networking is one of the biggest pieces here for Canada.
Yeah.
What will be a suggestion for you for like a positive um, engagement in networking with people?
I think you can definitely reach out to people on LinkedIn. Well, first of all, whenever you look for a job, you need to know what you want to do, right? Because if you're like, I have no idea, then who are you going to connect with, right? In which industry you want to work with, what do you want to do? Connect with those people that you probably want to do something similar to them, and ask them questions like, what does your day to day look like? Who should I talk to? Do you know of any recruiters? And I know that because I've had candidates in the past saying like, hey, can I introduce you to someone? Like they're looking for a job, not because you're gonna have a job for them, but just in order for them to like network, right? And it also helps you because it's like, oh, where have you worked? You can like maybe like send them to places and they, all of that. So I think networking with people who are in the same industry as you, or you want something similar, because sometimes people are like, well, I really want this job. They really don't investigate either the company or the job itself, and then they start the job and they're like, this is not what I wanted. So that has happened as well. So definitely just networking, and the way you can do it, well, here it's really big. I think like in big cities like me, like Toronto, Vancouver, even like Calgary, there's a lot of like groups either for design, for tech. There's even in the US, in Canada, across Canada now. I know, for example, we're part of something called Monday Girl. That helps a lot. To be honest with you, you get to know people from every type of industry, literally from like physiotherapists all the way from people who are in health sales. Like it's really big, and it really helps because sometimes I feel like people are like, they tell me like, oh, I don't know where I'm going, and you're not the only one, right? Everyone feels the same way. No one has to really figure it out. So it's also not to network, but to see that other people out there are feeling the same way. Yeah.
And I love these kind of spaces where, again, everybody's kind of in the same shoes, but then if there is not just tech and it's absolutely everything, you get the chance to practice, to talk about yourself, to meet so many people. For those people to start thinking about it, it's like, oh, I remember that Juliet is a UX designer, and then that
Yeah.
person hears about something else. I mean, this is how the two of us ended up meeting. Thank you, Luis. Luis, I know that you're here and you're
Yeah.
watching us. But that's how I have met so many people,
Yeah.
because I have talked to someone else and I told them what I was looking for and what I'm interested, and then that's how they started you connecting you with someone else. Again,
Yeah.
networking keeps just popping up in every single guest. So again, for people to pay attention and practice the skill as much as they can. I know that I have some questions for Ashley. Okay, what is okay? Actually, I'm going to ask one of you, and I'm going to say one of your questions for later because that is going to link to something else better. But what is one question you wish people ask you every time that you talk with them?
One question I wish people ask me every time that I talk with them.
See, this is
Uh,
what happened when I don't have questions prepared. Yes.
yeah. I think I think since when I started from now, I think candidates do ask me a lot of questions, to be honest with you. Like I think like everything, right? And just because I think like after, probably this happened more after the pandemic, but I've heard of so many people saying like, oh, like I get like fake messages or like fake like job adverts. Like I've read people on LinkedIn that have gotten like fake interviews, and I'm like, who's faking the interview? Someone recently wrote like, oh, like I was having an interview on a Teams chat, and I'm like, what? I'm sorry. So I think not really. I think people have asked me everything, really. Even sometimes I have to like write things down to make sure, because I'm like, well, I don't really know the answer to. Um, so I think it's pretty, people do ask me a lot of questions.
Yeah, they will practice it. Yes, I mean there's so
Yeah,
many
yeah,
resources to find good questions. Then
yeah.
the next question that Ashley asked that is go tie really good with this is, what is one question as a recruiter that you're tired of being asked?
Um, I don't think there's anything that really tires me. Um, just because I think it's always good to ask all the questions. Like, to be honest with you, I don't think there's really anything. Um, Obviously, I think one gets asked the most is like, when am I going to hear back? Definitely, which is totally fair, because that really depends on the role in the company. There are people who, you know, like we send profiles and the same day we have interviews, and then the next day they're like, okay, let's bring them in, right? But I don't think, I know some questions tire recruiters, but it's always good that the candidate asks about it, because that means that they're interested, right? That it means like if you give them a call or if you contact them on LinkedIn, they're not gonna, like, the candidate's not gonna wait like 10 like business days to answer you. So I don't think it's tiring. It's just like they do get repetitive, but I mean that's her job, right? It's like asking you like, what are your salary expectations? Like, people get tired of recruiters asking them that, but it's something they need to know.
Yes, love it. Okay, another big part of the community for Cherry and Tech, and I think a lot of people that I have in my network and that I have met in different spaces, they're
Mhm,
transitioning from something outside of tech. So,
mhm.
what would you be your advice for someone in transitioning to tech into a completely different industry? How do they show up that they have the skills?
Yeah. Okay. Again, that depends on like the role and everything. But I remember I talked to a girl maybe like 3 months ago. I think she transitioned from, I think she was like like recently graduated, and she was just working like an administrative job, but she always wanted to be like a product manager, product owner. So what she did is that she actually took all the certifications to be a product owner, which is I think like the CSPO and like all of that stuff. And she actually made study cases herself of products that could be better. But like, I don't mean like she just did like screenshots of how can it be better. No, no, no. She did a whole study case. And when she went to interviews, she said, I don't have the experience. Like, I just graduated, I just have an administrative job, but this is what I can do for this. And she was very focused. She really wanted to get into the finance space. And I know all the study cases, she did them based on banks and the specific thing that they were looking for. And a really big company now, that I can't really say the name, but they actually gave her a chance, and she's still there. And she's a product manager. Yeah.
Love it. I know that this is, I hope that you have more successful stories because this is one of my questions at the end. Well, that was a good one. And I feel, again, this is one of the spaces that we help here in Cherry and Tech, is where we have the cohort program where we put together tech squad or teams so people develop those skills.
Yeah.
They have projects. So I feel like this is such a powerful tool. And I feel like the example that you were mentioning
Yeah.
is they knew where they wanted to go, so they
Yeah.
had all like focus there, and this really helped them. So I love this. Okay, this one for okay, let's just show Louis' message because he's so cute. But networking is also a great way to enrich your life with super wonderful lovely people like us. Thank you, Louise. But
Thank
let's
you.
But let's go with Nashween. Question: what are your thoughts on cold emailing recruiters, hiring managers? Do you stand out, or and what would you like to see more in those emails in terms of the context, the structure, and context?
Yeah, no, I get emails like all the time from candidates saying like, "Hey, I saw that you were hiring from this." Usually, yeah, it's just email saying like, "Hey, I know you're hiring from this. Here's my work. I think it would be relevant and stuff." I always answer them. I think it's good just to like put like your attention. I think it's better to like reach out on LinkedIn if it's like a recruiter though than emailing them. But I think like if you can showcase your work, just like send your portfolio and your resume, it's good because like that is our job. I don't think there's nothing like wrong with that. Especially because sometimes we can't really say just like maybe the company or like the industry. But if obviously like if you want to like reach out to like know more and ask questions, usually if it's not a right fit, I'll say like, hey, they're actually looking for someone a little bit more senior or only with like this type of experience. But I don't think there's anything wrong. The thing with reaching out to hiring managers, I know sometimes when it's a job on LinkedIn or something like that, they do get like very spammed with a lot of things. I've seen like even posts saying like, hey, like please don't message me directly because I have many things. I mean, you can definitely do to reach out, um, even if it's not for a specific job. To say like, hey, I actually want to get to this industry. Would you mind, maybe having a chat, or mentoring? Like, there's nothing wrong. Like, the worst thing that can be is no, but obviously don't send 10,000 messages if the hiring manager hasn't replied, because they do get a lot of messages, right? It only takes one yes that you need for a mentor, really. And well, not everyone has the time, or not everyone wants to do it. So you can do it, just not spamming people.
Not spamming people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. And again, is like you were saying, and maybe again, this is not a question that we have here, but if you can give us like kind of a number, and I know it will vary between the jobs and the type of jobs, but how many people is normally applying on average to a job?
Mm, I think whenever I make posts, people do reach out to me. Maybe I would say, uh, yeah, it really depends on the seniority of the job. But for example, one recently, I think it was like a graphic designer, I would say probably like 35, 40 people, yeah, in a day,
In
which
a
is
day?
it's fine,
Yeah.
uh, because like, everyone has like a different ability. It's interesting to see like the portfolios, the kind of work that they have done. Um, yeah, I mean, probably like 35, 40 people every time I post, like, I need someone. Obviously, if it's someone very, very specific, then not as much people. Like, there's something very niche, maybe not as much people. And it's like probably like art directors, like, um, graphic designers, product designers. Yeah, it's like around like 35, 40 like messages on LinkedIn. Yeah, I try to answer them all. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah.
Well, that's a lot of work. Yes, like that takes some love to you. um, okay, so what are you seeing? And I know that you mentioned maybe something already, but what are some of the common challenges you see that candidates face when they're breaking into the tech industry and how they can overcome it? I know that you mentioned something already, but if you think about something else.
I think sometimes when it's like there's a lot of people, well, obviously it's like, well, we want to give a chance to everyone, but we can't give a chance to everyone. Especially in full time positions. So I would say that is definitely a challenge. Everyone obviously wants to get something that's a little bit more secure and stable, and I get it. But I've also seen a lot of people land like jobs, permanent jobs at a little bit like bigger companies once they've done a little bit of like freelance, right? And I don't mean freelance for like a super big company. I mean freelance for like smaller business, and all of that. So you can like build up a little bit of experience on that. Because sometimes people are like, well, I've also seen like freelancing jobs, but it's like with Microsoft or something like that. Like contractors are like, no, no, no. Like you need to like do it like in smaller companies or like smaller agencies, just to like get your foot on the door, really, and still like network. Like I think that would be something. I know it's a little bit hard. I know it takes time. Finding a job is also another job. So yeah.
Okay. Yes, definitely. I feel like building that experience, and yeah, we will all like the perfect job at one point, but it's okay if we get little by little in
Yes.
that dream goal that we want. Um, mm, mm, mm. And I feel like a big one, and that everybody that is transitioning from a different space is like, how do I highlight my transfer skills when applying to a tech position? Like, how do I tell them that I can do this?
Yeah. Um. Yeah. It depends. Also, again, like on the job type of thing. But for example, when you apply for a job, also see the keywords, right? Like, for example, for design, if it's a service design, it's like UX research, like focus groups, like A/B testing. You have to include that, right? Because sometimes when they say like, oh, I need someone who has like conducted like user research, conducted like group surveys, have used like this specific tool, or it's like a CRM or something like that. I'm gonna look, like I look for that too, because you can tell me, but then I look at it and I'm like, oh, but where is it? Where is it in the resume? I can't see it, right? So yeah, when you apply to a job or you see something like that, or even once you start a conversation on LinkedIn with a recruiter, like read what they said, right? Like read like the bullet points, or like in which account are we working in, um is it like something like that. So just try to read the job description to find those like keywords, because if they don't find a resume, they're gonna be like, well, where is it?
Makes sense. And again, yeah, I see you. For the people who is watching us, we had a conversation with Monica 2 weeks ago about this. So this will be like a great way to do. And again, everybody, again, Esther told us this the same. So I feel like, again, I love that every single person from different industries keep giving us the same recommendation, because it's stuff that you can still not seeing 100% in the candidates and applying for jobs,
Yeah.
or when they are sending the email or that message, they're missing those little nuggets that are clear for you to
Yeah.
understand that you two are a match.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some of the common questions you will ask candidates during the recruiting process?
uh well, I always ask them, like, kind of like to tell me a little bit more about their experience. And I don't like, obviously it depends like on the candidate, but yeah, just tell me, a little bit about like your experience. If it's contract, well, I know they have probably been contracting for like a very long time, but I want to know like what is your current situation. Like, are you looking for work? Like, are you done your project? Are you only looking for like contract, or like like perm? Like, why, like, do you prefer like hybrid, because maybe this is hybrid, maybe this is like completely remote? Like, what types of hours do you want to work in? Like, can you like guide me through like a project or something like that? Like, I try to ask them those questions. I also ask like the salary expectations. It also depends like very much on the role, but I really want to know, because I can see the resume, but I'm like guide me through, right? Like, what do you left this place? Like, are you looking to be an individual contributor? Would you be a manager if it's a contract role? Like, are you only free for a certain amount of weeks? Do you want a perm job? Like all of that stuff, just to see kind of like where they are at as well. Yeah.
Okay. Um, what are the do's and don'ts for candidates during tech interviews?
Um, I think dues is definitely ask questions. That's why I'm telling you, like when the previous girl asked, like, oh, like what question are you like tired of like people asking. I don't think as recruiters we can be like, oh, this, please don't ask this. You know what I mean? Like, don't ask me questions. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're getting them a job, right? Especially I think people have been a little bit more careful, like as I said, just because, you know, stuff, especially when I have like contracts and I have like a really big amount of like a job description entirely. But when it comes to like a very specific one, like I always say like, oh, it's here and there. I think ask as many questions as you can. I mean, obviously, if it's not in the job description or anything like that. And I think, um, like, don't whenever you're in an interview. Well, obviously, like don't be on your phone or like try to be like engaged. Even I know it's hard sometimes because people do get very nervous, but it's just like the like just like think about it. Like the worst thing it can be, it's like it's a no, and then you kind of like move on and that's it. I know it's hard for people who have been trying a lot, but look, like when it's we were talking about it with my colleague earlier, it's like what's not meant to be, it would not be, and that's it. And then kind of move on if you don't just don't hold that grudge. When it's a little bit more technical, but obviously be prepared, read what the assignment is on, um, and just like be like confident, like trust yourself, right? Like you have done this before, um, and, you know you can do this.
Oh, do people? No. Do people go to interviews and look at their phone? Well, maybe they have notes, but no, I don't know. Do people do that?
Well, I haven't heard that they have been looking at their phone, but I've heard people saying like, oh, they were not really engaged in the
Okay.
conversation. They were almost like not interested, but it's not because the person's not interested. It's just people get very nervous and then
Yes.
they
Yes.
like they like go like nonverbal almost. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yes. And again, I think something that we have talked about this is like practice. I think like this is something that people should be practicing. They
yeah,
shouldn't come to interviews is like, oh, this is the first time that I'm answering these questions. No one should go to an interview without practicing many times,
yeah,
not just one, but with different type of
yeah,
people. So they get the sense of what is happening. I answering this right. Do I need to add any more
yeah,
context? And I feel like after interviews, something that I suggest to people is like make sure that you write down the questions that
yeah,
they ask you and review. Think about do a retrospective is like, can I answer this better? What did I say?
yeah,
How do I highlight more my skills? How do I highlight more my personality, my strengths in a better way? And this comes with a lot of practice.
yeah,
There's some people that are good at this out of naturally, not me. And I think not most of the people, all of us, we need to practice. So I feel like that will be really good. And again, for the event that you were mentioning at the beginning, just going to events that like it will give you the opportunity to practice answering
yeah,
questions about you. That is a good
yeah.
one. Okay. Oh wow, this is the next question. Oh, okay. I feel like here we have one from Ashley. Again, thank you, Ashley. Love it. Okay. Following up on the information about skills and bullet points, what option is more scannable skills section or impactful bullet points with the skills in them? Okay, so I imagine that we're talking about the resume. So what would be the best way for you to read a resume?
I think, well, I kind of like look at everything, but for example, we recently had a position which required like very specific stuff. Like I know the hiring manager really wanted to see it, not only like in the work, but I guess also in the resume when he opened it. And so there were two candidates that had it, right? One had it only bullet points, and then the other person that had it didn't have in bullet points, but he actually, when he put in the duties that he did, he put there like, I led all the user research, this. So for that to see, it's a little bit more like, oh, you're not just like listing off from, like research and stuff. You actually did it because you're putting it on the duties that you did, and not saying like, oh, I led the research. No, I led the research with this amount of people when I was in this place, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, because it looks like, okay, he did it. It's obvious he did it, right? It's there. It's not a skill from like a skill set that he probably looked up like online. Not that this person did it, because I know that person did it, but it just seems a little bit more valuable because you elaborate on it. And it's one of the questions that they're going to ask in the interview. Hey, can you elaborate when you did this? Yeah. Yeah. So it's not bad to put bullet points. It's fine. But I think if it's something that they really want to see, it's worth mentioning it when you did it. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And I feel like we always need to remember who is in the other side
Yeah.
of whatever content we are putting out, even the resume, a video, an interview. How do we bring them closer to we are to who are we saying? And I feel like that's a good one. It's like, yeah, I did
Yeah.
research. Anyone can say that if you just think about it. But
Yeah.
then when you start putting those additional points of how you did it, what was the result,
Yeah.
what was the impact, then the other person is to understand a little more where you stand in, where you did, and how you did it, and that's what you want to bring people in. Um, Kevin has a question, and I feel like this is more like a yes and no, but maybe more about referrals. It is common to get rejected from the role, even with a referral from someone in the company.
I mean, obviously they do obviously look at referrals as well. I don't know what is if it's as common or no. Just because that's a little bit more for a question someone has been internally recruiting. Obviously they always get viewed like those people for sure because it is a referral. However, though, you can be rejected obviously if you don't have the skill set, just because it's like, oh no, we're looking for someone like more like senior and stuff or something like that. I don't know if it's as common, but definitely if you don't have the profile that they're looking for, they're gonna say no. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And I feel like this is a good example of like what happened of on my job. We have like ton of referrals, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day is going to be who's the best candidate
Yeah.
for the role and how they answer the questions. You can be my referral, but if you are not prepared to answer the questions or your portfolio doesn't match or like how you said the case study or your whiteboard
Yeah.
challenge is nothing that I can do as a referral. That's going to be all pretty much in your side as
Yeah.
a yes for you to show that. Mm, what trends or skill are currently in high demand in the tech industry for newcomers so they can focus in learning this? What should be something that you suggest to add on into our toolkit?
I think there's a lot of demand definitely still for not more like a skill set, but definitely like people with CRM experience. Yeah, like that is like a big thing, like CRM, like project managers. They need to have like that experience working with CRM. I think, well, this is not skill, but like copywriters, there's a lot of demand in copywriting, definitely. And I'm talking obviously too like about like contract, because there is like a lot of demand that everything that's marketing, so like SEO, like email marketing, campaign deployment. Yeah, there's like a lot of it. Obviously, because like that works directly very, very close with sales in order to like bring like the brand out there. And obviously, like copywriting, because it's also like content creation. So, content designers, there's a lot. Obviously, there's still like designers, right? Like graphic designers and stuff. It's just like certain like skills like that. Um, like with like CRM, definitely it's something. For copywriting, a lot of medical writers too. Um, that's a lot, and it's rare people who do have that experience. Um, but yeah, I mean, it also like depends on the client, right? Sometimes contracts are very, very specific. They want people to come from a certain background, work at certain companies. Um, yeah.
Um, Something that I want to come back kind of to the networking part and building relationships is okay. Let's say Luis put us in contact. I talked to Daniela,
Yeah.
and then we are chatting. Yes, but I feel like one of the struggles that people are having the most is that continuity. Yes, it's like, okay, yes, I talked to Daniela, and then I know that you don't have any role that it fits for me right
Yeah.
now, or or vice versa, whatever it is. How do we continue in a relationship with our recruiter for the long term?
Yeah. I mean, obviously always reach out, right? Just like reach out. I have like I always have people reach out to me and be like, I actually there was someone, I think she reached out to me on Monday and we have spoken before briefly. We she introduced herself to me and it's like, oh, okay, I might have like a role maybe sometime soon. She reached out to me again on Monday and I was like, maybe I'll have something. I still don't know, but I was like, I'll keep you updated. And then we talked and we submitted her for something and I think now she has a job for sure. So yeah,
Well, yes.
just like checking with them and like I don't mean um like cross them with a million messages, just be like, hey Daniela, like my current contract is wrapping up, or hey Daniela, like I'm still looking for a job, or like, hey, just a message. It's fine. Like you don't have to talk every day or go to the same events like every single time. Just like drop them.
Yes.
No, yeah, just like drop them a message. It's or even I know people are like hesitant, a little bit hesitant about it, but just kind of like do a LinkedIn post. Like hey guys, I'm still like looking for a job. There's nothing wrong with it. That's why it's a LinkedIn, right? It's networking for work, basically. So yeah.
Yes, I feel like okay, we have another question. I was going to ask something else, but we have something else from Nashwin. From a recruiter perspective, how do you evaluate applications coming in from different job boards versus applying directly on the company website?
Mm, huh. So, yeah, so I think I don't know internally how that works. But for us, they can go through the website or if we do like a job advert. Um, for so the thing with for example like LinkedIn Recruiter, even when you put just like a job, is that there are like certain questions that are asked if you ever have applied on a job through LinkedIn. It tells you like, oh, like no, like are you okay with like commuting to the location 5 days a week, or are you located here? Are you okay with working PST hours? Are you Do you have like a certain amount of years of experience in this thing, right? And when you put those filters on, at least on like the LinkedIn jobs, the people who don't have those skills or that like set of experience, the system rejects them automatically, right? So the recruiter doesn't even like get your application unless they like go into like the whole thing. But like from an email notification, you don't get it, right? From job boards, I would say like I think through the website, the application still goes in, but obviously if like they're requiring 10 years of experience and you have three, like, well, they're gonna look at it and be like, what? Right? And that's also something to be very, very careful about, because I think I put quickly a graphic designer role and I put specifically, do you have experience in this, which was very, very, very specific. I don't know if I worded it wrong or it was like something different, but like people with like not no experience on it, like they look very talented. They just didn't have that experience. Sometimes when candidates do that, and it's like as I said, like oh, it's a give direct role or something like that, and you have like 3 years. When recruiters look at that or HR looks at that, they're like, "Well, this person looks great for a junior role, but why are they applying to this?" Right? It just makes you doubt a little bit about the person because you're like, "Are you like not reading what it's saying?"
Well,
Right?
I feel like
It
people is
makes
just
you
applying
doubt.
for every role too. Yes, I
Yeah,
feel like this is what is
yeah,
happening.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So like when someone does that, you're like, "Wait, what?" Yeah.
Yes. Love it. I know. Yes. It's hard right now. But okay, we have another one from Raspberry. I think I'm killing everybody's names here. I'm including keywords from the job application, and then I believe that my portfolio is a close match with the industry, but I'm still getting rejected. What can I do better? This is a hard one.
Yeah, that is a hard one. Um, I think, yeah, I mean, if you're including the keywords and you think your portfolio is right, I would say usually when people still get rejected for that, it usually has to do with the seniority, to be honest with you. Or even when you said like your portfolio is something close to the industry, um, like for example, like I'm just gonna give an example. If it's a marketing agency that they're looking for a designer and you barely have experience on an agency, they're gonna say no. Because working in-house is completely different than working in an agency. Agency is like very fast-paced and they're gonna throw at you like many projects. And they really want to make sure that you like you have that experience. It's really just how it works. I know it's like it's not the greatest advice, but that's really how they work. It can be because of seniority, it can be because you don't have the exact experience, it can be because of that, literally you don't have the industry experience or you don't have the seniority to like be on those like jobs, or maybe you are too senior. I know it's a lot, but people do look at that. Yeah. Yeah, if you still like get rejected. And then sometimes something to also consider is that sometimes people get like especially internal HR, they get like 500 applications and then they can only see 200 really. So people get automatically rejected. So something to like do is I've seen people get jobs that way, is that don't only apply and apply like to like 1,000 jobs. I think keeping track of them maybe in an Excel sheet, it's like a way for you to know like, okay, what am I doing, right? Am I applying to 100 jobs just because of like applying to 100 jobs? Or am I actually like reading the job description, think, okay, I can do this? Because I've seen like a lot of people do that and it takes them time, but because they're tracking it, they kind of like know where they're at, right? Um, yeah,
Makes sense. Yeah, and I feel like with this is like definitely you see a lot of posts of like these tracking uh,
yeah,
methods, and you can see where they can need to start changing how they're approaching things. And I feel like this maybe will be like a question for Raswari is like, have you had the chance to do something different? Because again, if you're telling me that you've been using the same portfolio, same resume, and something is not working time over time over time, then we know that there could be
exactly,
something wrong
exactly.
and you
That's
just
what
keep
I
doing
mean.
the same. Yes, you
Yeah,
just keep doing the
exactly.
same and it's not giving you any different results. So that's a good one.
Yeah, that means something, right? Because it's something different when it's like, oh, like I applied to like, it's an example, to 50 jobs, but then, I got like 20 first screens and then like I got like a final round of interviews. Nothing has been set yet as like a completed offer or now I have a job, but at least you're doing something right? Like you are
Correct.
like, okay, but if it's 30,000 jobs and like nothing's coming back, okay, maybe I need to actually sit down, track what I'm a little bit, to be a little bit conscious of like what I'm doing. Um, yeah, yeah,
That's a
definitely.
good one. And I feel like the other one, how many people have you showed this? Like again, is people out people that love you, maybe other designers. I'm just thinking that you're a designer in this case. Um, have you got feedback from this? Have you run your portfolios? And I feel like, because I do some of like portfolio reviews with people, and when they
Yeah.
explain it to me, I'm like, I don't understand anything of what you're saying, and if like
Yeah.
I don't know what is happening. So I feel like
Yeah.
running your portfolio, your resume through different people and get feedback
Yeah.
is going to help you a lot. So I feel like that will be a good one. Okay, we
Yeah.
have nine
And
minutes. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something that also we have even, well, I've learned a little bit more like recruiting salt is that, well, I don't know if every company does this, but for us is that I actually had like the chance, this year, well, even like since I started with like my colleague Troy, because he has been a little bit more on like the recruitment and design and stuff, he would like sit down with me and he's like, you see this, like you see this, like do you understand this? Like when we would get like assignments to send to candidates, he's like, you see like the difference between this and this, how this looks. So that's something you pick up. And then also we have like a global team. So I had like the chance to talk to someone else who recruits. He's like senior as well. Hugo, like we would have like I think like meetings like it was like at the mid year where he would like we would present like portfolios just to also like look at candidates and he's like, how like this looks like, and then I start noticing things that I didn't before. So even like sitting down with someone senior, it doesn't even have to be like a hiring manager. It can be like a hiring and recruiters, like just like give me the feedback and not from like saying like, oh, like does it look pretty? No, like what do you see? What do you understand? Like I think there was someone who told me like, what do you think? And I was like, there's actually it's not even that it looks amazing. So there's spelling mistake in the front thing. I'm like a spelling mistake there. And she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. Or like sometimes people don't notice that like their websites are not actually not working. Yeah. So yeah, just have a chat. Also like take an account, not personal, constructive
Yeah,
criticism. Right?
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's a big one. Okay, another one for Ashley. Which is better network? 500 people you actually know, or 5,000 that you barely know?
I think like trying to connect with everyone in the industry is good, just because like you never know, right? There might be like a job, something out there, and you can reach out to them. But obviously, like if you like, I usually all the people that I have, it's on the design world because that's what I recruit for. I won't make like 1,000 of connections maybe with people who are like data engineers or architects, right? Because I don't recruit for that. But definitely like having like people you actually know in the sense of like not that you know them all in person or personally, but people who are relevant to your industry. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like for me, this is like a mix. Yes, it's like I'm interested in people that is cool, that is smart. I want to learn from you. Yeah. So if I
Yeah.
find people like that, of course, I'm going to spend a little more time, and I'm trying to bring you into what I do as a guest speaker, like in this
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like it's a mix. Yeah. Like something, if you're linking in your past experience, you were an accountant and 80% of your network is an accountant, but you want to get into product, there is some misconnection there because you're missing a lot. Yes. So
Yeah.
it's like, how do you kind of start building that network of like
Yeah.
product? Of course, you are not, if I want to make it bigger, I'm not going to meet everybody one by one, but I'm going to try to make it closer to what I want. And then in that connection that I'm building and that I'm growing, I'm going to start picking people that I want to really know. So I feel like it's a mix. The same as applying for a job. I think we didn't talk much about this. Is like, is a number game. Yes, I'm applying for so
Yeah.
many jobs, but at the same time, I'm taking time, a lot of time in the jobs that I really care, that I know
Yeah.
that I'm a great fit. So is again a mix in the
Yeah.
two things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. One last one again, people. We have 4 more minutes. If you had another question, tap them down in the comments. But we have one more from Ashley. Thank you, Ashley. You've been so helpful today. How can you do a self evaluation on a job description to ensure we are not applying for a job we are over or underqualified for?
I think you definitely have to see the seniority of the job. Like that is like the first thing, right? Because sometimes these jobs are senior enough that they're like, oh, you know, we need you to manage a team of 10 designers, right? And if you have 3 years of experience, you're gonna be like, what? Like I'm not a manager. Like I don't even know if I want to go that way. Maybe I just want to be an individual contributor forever, right? Like I just want to be hands-on. Or sometimes it's senior enough where these people don't even have hands-on anymore. They're just there, they're just like there for like they're building the whole strategy, right? Or they're there to build up the team or to mentor, right? So I would say look at the seniority, like the years of experience they are looking for. Like that is like the number one thing. Yeah.
I mean, for me, this one is an interesting one. Yes. Do transferable experience could apply in this space of like seniority? My example, I work in retail management for almost 10 years. I have managed teams of like 20 plus people. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, do I manage people at my job now? No. Do build an experience around that outside of work? Yes.
Yeah.
I do mentorships too. So how can those two things apply in one, but
I think when
directly and indirectly?
yeah. I think when it's like if you have managed people before because you have experience like in another industry, I think that's definitely transferable. But for example, if it's an individual contributor, it's like, oh, have you have 10 years of experience designing for marketing agencies on this specific account? Then that's different,
No.
right? Because
Yes.
then it's like, oh wait, no, no, I haven't done that, right? Obviously, in management, it's different because it's like you have managed people, but in like, oh, have you designed for like agencies in the last 10 years? Okay, maybe not, right? So also in that sense, yeah,
Maybe tied to this question, when we see a job description, we see different things. We see 10 things that I need to have. And sometimes in the job description says, oh, it would be nice if you have this. And something that we see too is, oh, us as a women, we never apply if we don't check every single thing. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
And we compare to men, they apply even if they don't have all the skills.
yeah, yeah.
When you apply, like again, I know that you keep mentioning seniority, but what are the other things that is okay? Maybe I don't have this experience, or I know about this, but I haven't done it. Like when to apply and when don't. I feel like this is a good mix for that too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I had this talk with my mom. I think like men apply if they check out like 20% of the
Yes, yes.
boxes, and women don't. I think like it's very tricky to be honest with you to answer that because when it's like for example for us when it's contract it needs to check the boxes, right? Just
Yes.
because
Hmm.
it is project based
Yeah.
and usually it is for a specific thing. Um, I think when it gets very, very specific, like the job description,
Yeah.
I would say like not really like do it. But I mean I've read just job description and it says like, oh, 2 years of like I don't know, agency required. And then it would be good if this candidate had healthcare, but if they really want to still be in healthcare, they can apply, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Um, yeah, but obviously, if you, I don't know, if you don't check like 80% of the box, I would say like no. Or if you see like it's something like it's very specific, like, oh, you're going to be working only the signing, I don't know, covers for books, right? Have you had that experience?
Yeah.
Like, we need someone who has a signed cover for books. Then it's like, okay, maybe no.
Yes,
Right?
definitely. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
when it gets too specific, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, people still apply, so good for them.
Yeah.
And let's finish it up. We are on time with another success story, if you can share.
Of Of what?
Yeah,
Like,
another success story of one of your candidates getting a job. I feel like that would be nice.
one success story of my candidate getting a job. I think, um, like the most like one of my most proudest moments, I would say it was it was actually recently. It was it's a marketing job for it's kind of like a marketing developer job. Um it was well it, it was a very very niche job, I would say, definitely. There's just a handful of people I'd say in the market for this job. Um it was not on his side. Like I knew he was perfect for like for the job since the moment I found him. I knew he was gonna be the one who gets it, just because of his skill set and all of that. But I also knew this person was a little bit afraid of taking a job because he had a really bad experience taking the wrong job. So he just wanted to know it was a right fit, more than the salary. I think it was like a right fit. So I listened to him. I kind of like, I had to give him a little bit of a pep talk. Kind of like saying he was just like, my only concern is not the money. It's just like it's not a right culture fit. And then, I have to leave the job just like as I left this previous job, like I don't know, like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, look, I was like, he's someone who actually has a lot of experience working. He actually transitioned from being a designer to being like an email developer. Um and he was like, like I worked hard in my life, like, I had all this experience. And I'm like, you know what? You miss 100% of the chances you don't take. The worst thing that can happen is, yeah, you don't like the job, but I was like, I'll make sure you are 100% sure you want to take this job. I was like, I can make another call with the team. I can like get you to meet the team in person, but I just want you to be comfortable for you working with this industry. And now I think he has been there for a month now. And he really likes it.
No
Yeah.
complaints yet. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
it.
He really likes it. He likes the team. He likes the work. Um, yeah, he really wants to stay there for a long time. So I think that was something where for a little bit I had to put on my, my almost like emotional self, like be a little bit compassionate, listen to people, listen to what they actually have to say, and be like, okay, his concern is not the money. His concern is not like getting a job right now. It's just him being happy.
Love
So
it. Yeah.
yeah. That
Thank
was
you.
a really good success story. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Daniela, for taking the time and doing
Yeah.
this and sharing all your knowledge. For
Yeah.
people who is watching us tomorrow, we have Lenka. She used to be a developer. Now she's more in counseling, and she's going to take us to how the stress and all of that can get into us. And she's going to help us to feel calm, secure, to go to the interviews and be successful in that side. So I'm super excited because it's been 6 weeks meeting so many amazing guest speakers. And just to close up with another one is so good. Daniela, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sad that we didn't get
Thank
to meet in
you.
Vancouver and Toronto in the future. This always
Yes.
happens. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, maybe I forgot. Where can people find you?
Oh, just connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message. I always answer. Okay. I always answer. Always just connect with me. If
Yes.
you just even want to have just a chat, I'm always open to a chat as well. So,
And
yeah.
it's so hard to find recruiters that do that. So thank you so much for taking the time and listening to
Yeah.
all of us. I mean, I have
Of
sent so
course.
many people to you already to meet you. So thank you so much for that. Thank you,
Yes. Of
everybody. See
course.
you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.